Alrighty, guys, in this training, I'm going to walk you through the Ad ROI formula. This is an exercise that I often do with brands, especially on the agency side, that I think is really important when you're an in-house media buyer or a media buyer that's maybe working with clients to really set expectations of what is actually possible through ads. I mean, if I had a nickel for every time that I had a business owner who told me they wanted a 3 or a 5x return on ad spend, I'd probably be a billionaire at this point because, everybody wants to chase the lofty ROAS numbers, but they don't know exactly how it is possible. And at the same time, if you've ever wanted to know how to make that happen, there's literally a math formula for this. And at the same time, it's also an opportunity to find out if these expectations are even possible so that we can set proper expectations. That's really the goal of this exercise overall, is to help you identify where the problem area is with your entire ads funnel, including the back end of that funnel as well. And so, truthfully, this is probably and could potentially be the most important training that you could possibly go through in CTM. Even though it's not ads creative related, it will help you fuel your decision making for your ad creative, how to scale, how to spend more, how to scale revenue, etc. And I can tell you that this has really saved my butt over the years when I have walked clients through this. And so what I've got here is I've got a mathematical process that will show you how to specifically identify where the problem area is in your ads and in your funnel. So if your goal is a 3x return on ad spend, the entire exercise here is designed to show you exactly what you need to do to make that happen. So I'm going to walk through this from left to right, and I've already sort of pre-filled some of these areas so you can see how this all works together. So to give you a little bit of a baseline context and understanding, calculating return on ad spend is really dependent upon four key metrics. Number one, CPM. Number two, CTR. Number three, conversion rate. And number four, average order value. So what I'm going to show you how to do is manipulate this formula in your favor, or if you're at a brand in-house, show you how to manipulate this brand in your favor so that you can generate more ROI from your marketing efforts. Again, with the if I had a nickel, I'd be a billionaire situation, I actually often find that most brands don't have as much of an actual traffic or ads problem as they do a business model problem with how they're trying to apply ads to their business model. And that'll make sense here as I walk you guys through this. So what I did is I have a baseline here so that we can do a comparative analysis on this baseline. So at an average CPM of $10 with a 1% click-through rate and a 3% conversion rate and a $73 average order value, this would produce about a 2.19 return on ad spend. I think we can all agree that a 1% click-through rate through ads and a 3% conversion rate is pretty healthy. Like those would probably be a B to a B plus grade. The average CTR on Facebook, according to WordStream, is less than 1%. And the average Shopify brand converts about 2% of traffic. So we're using benchmarks here to set expectations for ourselves in order to inform what is actually possible. So that brings the cost per acquisition in at around $33. So let's say that you are operating under these sort of KPIs and metrics within your advertising, within your funnel. So again, going into the second model now, let's say that we have a low click-through rate. Let's say if everything else stays the same, but our ads and our ad creative and our copy and our messaging is driving a click-through rate of 0.5 or half of the 1% click-through rate, and we have a 3% conversion rate, and let's just change this back to that $73 average order value. We're getting a 1.1 return on ad spend with a $66 CPA. So when we problem solve this and we look at the comparative numbers together, we see the click-through rate is really the problem here. I really need to go focus on optimizing my messaging, optimizing my creative, and optimizing my phase 2 testing process. So that really isolates this one specific metric as being the problem in calculating the ROI. In the next model, we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to keep the conversion rate the same at 3%. We're going to go back to our 1% click-through rate, and we're going to have our $73 average order value here. Except on this occasion, we have a very high CPM. And as you'll remember from your CPM training, this could be related to two factors. Number one, competition. So let's eliminate competition as a factor here and actually say that it could actually be the creative, potentially, that could be causing this high CPM, or maybe it's our placements or our demographics. Either way, there are several factors here that are increasing the CPM from $10 to $25. There's an entire training to walk you through how to reduce CPM. So in this scenario, we're just going to operate on the fact that the CPM is higher. So again, CPM $25, 1% CTR, 3% conversion rate, now an $83 cost per acquisition on that $73 AOV, and our ROAS is at about a 0.88 or about 0.89, less than 1, right? Not very desirable. And in reality, the problem here isn't actually our ads. It could actually be a targeting or competition of industry problem here with the CPM. So let's move on to the next example. So let's just adjust this again so that you can see it in real time. So I've got back to my on baseline 10% CPM. I've got my on baseline 1% CTR. By the way, $10 CPM and 1% CTR, very, very healthy. But I'm not converting that traffic. My offer is not irresistible enough. My sales message is not compelling enough, and I'm not making it easy for people to try my product. I'm converting 1% of traffic. My CPA is now $100, and my ROAS is 0.73. So the reason for showing you this is showing you how to isolate the metrics to continue to get them to work for you. So many media buyers don't understand how much of a comprehensive mathematical equation return on ad spend is. And furthermore, founders, C-level executives, decision makers, when they put those expectations on ads, they don't understand how there's an entire formula behind this whole entire process and how each one of these metrics has a different way to optimize, right? Like you'll see that in the training. So now what I want to go through is this model of low average order value, good CTR, and average conversion rate. So we've got that $10 CPM, we've got a 1% CTR, we've got a 2% conversion rate, but this time we've got a $35 average order value. Again, if I had a nickel for everybody who wanted a 3x or a 5x ROAS from a $35 price point or a $35 AOV, I would be a billionaire. This is encroaching into the territory of almost not freaking possible. And this is where business model problems impact expectations of advertising. Because in reality, if we just simply switch this, for example, to a $100 average order value with the same exact stats from the 35, we're now getting a 2x return. Much, much better, right? So let me flip this back so you can see how these numbers are working together. In the next scenario, I want to walk through a higher average order value with a good CPM, average CVR, good CTR, and just slightly different change in the conversion rate. So we've got that same $10 CPM, $1 CTR, now a 3% conversion rate on, now let's change this. We'll do a few different models. We've got a $35 AOV, 1.05. Let's change that now to a $75 AOV, same stats, 2.25. $100 AOV, now we're at a 3x. So you can see how all of these metrics work together. And typically, it's the average order value and the expectations that are being applied to ads that is most often the problem. And usually it's an offer problem that we're leading with through the ads that makes the ads the problem. That's why I was most often sharing with you guys that most brands and most of you are not having an ads problem. You're having a decision. Let me back up. You're really having an acquisition strategy problem and the offer that you're leading with through your ads that are making the ads the problem. So hopefully that adds some clarity there. Now, remember, the idea here is to identify where the problem area is. Is our CPM high or low? Is our CTR high or low? Is our conversion rate high or low? Is our average order value high or low? So we went through this exercise here pointing out where the problem area was and how that impacts return on ad spend. Now, I have a model here for you as well that I wanted to hide so you didn't get distracted by the good stuff. Let's say that expectation or that desire is to get a 3x or a 5x return on ad spend. What I actually did was I built this model based on more of an average CPM that you'll typically see, which is kind of in the $15 range. And what I did was I built this on kind of unlofty expectations of conversion rates so that you could get an idea for just how well you would have to convert your traffic in order to make this hit the numbers that you want. And it will also put the emphasis on why CRO is so important here with your funnel and with your sales page, because that's really where most of the traffic is being lost. It's being lost in the hole in the bucket that is not converting them into being a buyer or a paying customer. And so in this scenario, we've got the model of a $50 average order value with the target of a 3x return on ad spend. So as a media buyer, if my client, or as an in-house media buyer, if my supervisor or leader or director or et cetera is asking for me to get a 3x return on ad spend, this is what we need to ask for them back, or need to ask back from them by coaching them through this process. So if we have that $50 average order value, we need a $15 CPM. We need above average ad creative performance, meaning the messaging is really nailing it on the head. I would say that a 1.5% CTR on a $15 CPM is doing pretty darn good. I mean, I'm talking probably an A average here. We're above benchmark. But then we're converting 6% of traffic. We're getting a $16 CPA, and now we're hitting that 3x return on ad spend. So now when we see, okay, desired result is 3x, this is what I need from my funnel. I need a 6% conversion rate, a very above average conversion rate to make this happen. Now let's just swing it in the complete opposite direction. Let's say that you have absurd ad performance, 3% CTR, and you're getting average sort of conversion rate or slightly above average. We'll even do two models here. Let's say we're getting a 3% conversion rate with that 3% CTR. We're still hitting a 3x return. Let's say that we're getting a 4% conversion rate. Now we're hitting a 4x return. So this should show you where you should put the emphasis. The emphasis should be invest into messaging and creative, invest into CROing your website. That's how you're going to get a higher return on ad spend. Second model, let's say that you have a $75 average order value, and your goal is that 3x return. Same situation here, $15 CPM, above average click-through rate at 1.5%, above average conversion rate at 4%, converting pretty strong. I'd say this is like a B plus to an A average. So 4%, we're now getting a $25 CPA. We've got that $75 average order value. Now we're hitting a 3x return. Again, go invest into your creative, go invest into messaging, go invest into CROing your sales page. If you can make these things happen, that's how you're going to get the returns that you're looking for. Last model, a little bit, unlikely, in comparison to the average, I would say, but not impossible, especially on lower average order value type products. I think what the big thing to point out here is, like, if you're looking for a 10x return, you need to be selling high ticket. Like, it's not impossible, but nowadays with as much competition as that there is within the platforms, the emphasis is really on AOV, and that's how you're really going to hit that return. So we've got $75 average order value here. We've got $15 CPM, above average CTR, definitely above average CTR here. Great CTR, pretty great conversion rate overall. $15 CPA, $75 AOV. Now we're hitting that 5x return. So again, here I use benchmarks to set expectations. I can't create a scalable business off of hopes and dreams. I can only create realistic expectations based on benchmarks that show us where we need to optimize. Even for someone like myself, with millions in spend, millions in sales, I'm not going to, going to create false promises for people. I would rather show them the way and show them where the optimization point needs to be had. So I hope this was a really thorough exercise for you guys that really opens up your eyes to where the time should be spent, how to set expectations, how to achieve these desired results, and also furthermore, explain why, offer optimization and why conversion rate optimization through the funnel are so important. Because if you're spending thousands of dollars on traffic and you're not really converting that traffic, you've got a leaky, a hole in the leaky bucket, right there on the sales page where you're driving all of this traffic to. So if you simply just focus on converting more of that traffic, that ROAS is going to go up, right? And so that's where you can see that it's really a multi-tiered strategy with calculating ROI. And hopefully this really gives you some key insight on how to drive performance and where to consult from. So hopefully if you have any questions, we'll have a chance to talk about this further, either in our group trainings or our one-on-ones. And I hope this training was really helpful for you guys today.